for graphing the square root functions. The first one is just that parent function, y equals the square root of x. So I put a table of values up here in case, we can always resort back to the table of values if we don't remember how to do this. So when x is a 0, plug in a 0 for x and you say, well, square root of 0 is 0. Plug in a 1 for x, square root of 1 is 1. Now the reason why the x values go 0, 1, 4, 9, 16, if you notice they're all positive, and they're positive because we don't take the square root of negative numbers. And then they also go 0, 1, and then instead of doing 3, 4, we skip to 4, then to 9, then to 16, because we're just trying to make life easy for ourselves. We're plugging in numbers we can take the square root of. So plug in a 4 for x, square root of 4 is 2. Plug in 9 for x, square root of 9 is 3. And plug in a 16 for x, square root of 16 is 4. And then we go to our graph and we just plot these points, 0, 0, 1, 1, over 4, up 2, over 9, which actually is off my graph, 7, 8, 9, up 3, it's right around there. And we get this graph. Now you don't have to use a table of values every time. What we can notice with these is we do have that same 1, 3, 5 pattern that we had with our parabolas. This is the inverse of the parabola. And so you get your starting point and then, over 1 and up 1, over 3, up 1, over 5, up 1. So you'll see me do that pattern on the next one. Now domain and range. Domain is your x values. If we go to our starting point of our graph, which is right here, and domain is your x's and y's, which are going, sideways. Think of where's our graph. If you notice, everything is to the right of where we start, right here. So everything is to the right of that value, which for the x is at 0. So our domain is all real numbers, and everything to the right is greater than. So x is greater than or equal to 0. Now, try to erase this so we can talk about the y values. So the y values, or the range, goes up and down like this. So if we look at, the start of our graph right here and notice everything on our graph is above what value? It's above this value for the y, which is 0. So our range is all real numbers, y is greater than or equal to 0. So with our square root functions, if we start at the origin like this, that is going to be our domain and range. Once we start shifting it, though, that's going to change. Like our next example, we have the square root of x minus 1 and then plus 4 outside. So this minus 1 in with the x is a horizontal shift value. This is our tricky x. Because it shows a minus 1, we're going to go the opposite direction. So we're going to go to the right one spot. Now the plus 4 is our vertical shift. Is very straightforward. It looks like a positive 4, so we're going to go in the positive direction vertically. So we're going to go up 4. So instead of starting at the we start at the origin and we go to the right one and up 4, and this is our new starting spot for this graph. Now instead of doing the table values, I'm just going to do the 1, 3, 5 pattern. So I'm going to go over 1, up 1 for the next point. I'm going to go over 3, up 1 for the next point, and now we're going to go over 5. So 1, 2, and if I went 3 more and up 1, I would be right there. It's a nice light green color. Look at that. And then, oops, I keep missing that middle one right there. So there is our square root function. Now domain and range, think about where are you starting. Domain is your x's. Everything is to the right of this spot on our graph. So what is the spot for the x's? It's at a 1, so our domain is, we don't want to forget that all real numbers, but all the x's are greater than or equal to 1. And then if we think about our range, the range is your y values, and everything is above this spot right here, and that value for the y's is a 4. So our range is all real numbers, y is greater than or equal to 4.